Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
I'm Aaron Maté, sitting in for Jimmy Dore here with Americans comedian Kurt Metzger. Let's turn to some media news. Joy Reid.
No.
At MSNBC. MSNBC cancels Joy Reid show as part of overhaul under new administration. MSNBC is canceling Joy Reid's evening news show as part of the network's overhaul under the new presidential administration. Reid's final show is planned for some time this week. She's hosted the ReidOut on MSNBC since 2020, discussing political news and events. And she'll be replaced by Symone Sanders Townsend, Michael Steele, and Alicia Menendez, who currently host the network's The Weekend, which will now be.
I'm looking forward to Symone Sanders Townsend. Like,
you're not alone.
Morgan, I cannot wait. And yeah, she should go. Joy and Joy Behar, they should team up and do a show called Joy to the World.
Here's Ryan Grimm of Dropsite News. You thought MSNBC was totally in the tank for Democratic Party leadership, but you didn't realize they could get even more in the tank. They just canceled Joy Reid, a reliable Democratic supporter, but who was willing to criticize Israel and sometimes the party. She's being replaced by a Biden spokesperson, Michael Steele, and Alicia Menendez, the daughter of Senator Bob Menendez. Menendez, who recently sentenced to prison for corruption.
Oh, but he did have those gold bars. I guess he knew to get gold.
And Alex Wagner, who was also willing to criticize Israel and sometimes the Democrats, is being replaced by Jen Psaki, the former Biden White House press secretary.
Jen Psaki.
So MSNBC, yes, is becoming even more of a Democratic Party apparatus. It's hard to believe, but it's true.
They're an apparatus of the military-industrial complex, whom the Democratic Party is an apparatus of. And so that, I mean, MSNBC, obviously, as soon as they have a Raytheon commercial on it, you know, that's one of the funniest things Jimmy used to say, like, what, are you going to buy a fighter jet? Why would they advertise? Why would they? Why is she giving, Rachel giving speeches at Raytheon? So it's not even for Democrats are a tool of a tool, you know?
Absolutely. Here is some reaction from Brianna Joy Gray, the host of the Bad Faith podcast, former spokesperson for the Bernie Sanders campaign. Speaking about Joy Reid, he once blacklisted a booker because they suggested me for a segment, but I'm sorry for everyone else's loss. So, yeah,
too many joys in the kitchen, Joy Reid said. We don't need another person with joy in their name. I'm the only joy in this. You pick me or middle name Joy.
Here's more from Brianna Joy Gray. For folks who don't know what this means, a booker for MSNBC, who I don't know, suggested I participate in a segment. Joy Reid responded to that person that their services would no longer be needed. I only know about this because the booker sent the screenshots of the conversation to someone who happens to know me and who passed them.
Post them.
Here's Nick Cruz of Revolutionary Blackout Network. Joy Reid is being replaced by Symone Sanders, the person who was the mole in the Bernie campaign in 2016 and an extreme Biden sycophant. Reid being fired is hilarious, but her replacement is worse. So
I mean, he's dead on about that, but it's going to be, I think, very hilarious.
All right, so listen, we're going to play some of Joy Reid's greatest hits, and before we make fun of Joy Reid, I want to actually acknowledge something positive that she did, which, as Ryan Grimm said, she did sometimes criticize Joe Biden on supporting the genocide in Gaza, which I think is worthy of at least acknowledgement before we make fun of her. So this is one of Joy Reid's statements on Biden and Kamala Harris's support for the Gaza genocide.
Bombings are being done using our tax dollars. Perhaps we should ask some questions. For example, how does bombing a densely populated land strip filled 50% with children constitute self-defense? How does bombing hospitals, churches, mosques, and UN schools constitute self-defense? Well, you say if Hamas fighters are hiding in the hospital using the civilians as human shields, okay, let's say they are. Are you arguing that flattening the hospital and killing newborns in their incubators and their moms in the NICU, cancer patients, someone with a broken leg, the doctors, nurses, and just the women and kids hiding in the hospital, that's not a war crime? Because
yes, they're saying that.
According to international law.
No, Israel's saying, yeah, no, you do that. I mean, just the Hannibal directive alone. What do we do to our own people if they get grabbed hostage? Open fire.
Yeah.
There no rules, I guess.
So that's Joy Reid, calling out U.S. support for Gaza. And I have to wonder if that certainly made her more expendable in the eyes of MSNBC, even though she was a very loyal Democratic Party partisan. She was critical of Biden on Gaza sometimes, certainly more than the vast majority of other MSNBC.
Yeah. Well, do they, BBC's got that guy that's directly from Mossad overseeing certain stories. Do they have a person like that there at MSNBC? Or, because I always think they're like the designated one that can say stuff. Like Mehdi Hassan couldn't, he had to go. You can't be Arab and say nothing. But she was like the one who's allowed to sometimes have a little bit of criticism, I don't think that was bad what she said at all, by the way, but that it seemed like allowed to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, that's Joy Reid calling out U.S. support for the Gaza genocide. And again, I think she deserves to be commended for that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that played a role in her finally being let go. But that said, there is a lot that we can mock her for, and we're going to go through some of her
wig hits. Shrinking, her incredible shrinking wig.
No, we're not going to go there.
Boris Johnson hair.
No, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. But we are going to go to the time when she brought on a body language expert to tell us during the Democratic presidential primary in 2020 that Bernie Sanders is a liar.
Really?
Between the two of them is that scandals hurt you more when they seem plausible, right? I mean, Bernie Sanders does have a sort of physicality, when he talks, that is a shaking your finger at Hillary Clinton, shaking your finger, shovey, weirdy, his physicality makes me think, he could have said, listen, I think in this environment a woman can't win. That doesn't seem like a crazy
Well, first of all, I think Bernie's lying. We see him, he slouches forward anyway, Joy, but here he turtles. If you look at his eye level where he normally answers questions, when he makes the denial, his whole shoulders come up like a little kid getting caught. His eye level is below his shoulders. This is trying to hide in plain sight. And many of us, we don't know what to look for. So if you look for this right out of the gate, and the strongest denial is simply saying no. And I think women in particular, we want to believe human beings. So we're like, I would say that. He literally said, well, as a matter of fact, I didn't say it. That's 9 words. Unnecessary. No. Did you vote for Donald Trump in the last election?
Absolutely no.
Right? So no. Did you dress up as an Easter bunny on Easter?
Absolutely no.
Right? So it's no. We say no. Absolutely is actually not the strongest denial. You're playing with me here in the game, but at least you're getting the no in here. We're not hearing the no with Bernie. Also with Bernie, he has numerous hotspots. He says, well. Liars like to start with well.
So
wow.
This was back when Elizabeth Warren accused Bernie Sanders of telling her privately that women can't win presidential elections. Bernie denied this. And so now Joy Reid and this body language expert are telling us why Bernie, because he wagged his finger and he says, well, was lying.
Objection, Your Honor. I would like a Jewish body language expert because this lady does not know. He hunches his shoulders. He's got a case of the Woody Allens. That's like a classic. Oh, what are you going to do? Like, that's a corrupt body language expert. Like Joy Reid got them on purpose to poke holes in him because who would feel physically threatened by Bernie Sanders ever?
Okay, so there you had Joy Reid bringing on a body language expert to tell us that Bernie Sanders, because of his, Jewish gestures, mannerisms,
some of these guys got 3 full pairs of underpants. Remember, Larry David did them.
but speaking of lying, Joy Reid got accused of lying herself when she was caught having her. When people found out that her old blog, had a lot of homophobic material.
She's a virulent homophobe.
And so, what did Joy Reid say? She said that she was hacked.
Community that I support and that I deeply care about is hurting because of some despicable and truly offensive posts being attributed to me. Now, many of you have seen these blog posts circulating online and in social media. Many of them are homophobic, discriminatory, and outright weird and hateful. When a friend found them in December and sent them to me, I was stunned. Frankly, I couldn't imagine where they'd come from or whose voice that was. In the months since, I've spent a lot of time trying to make sense of these posts. I hired cybersecurity experts to see if somebody had manipulated my words or my former blog. And the reality is they have not been able to prove it.
That's because you wrote it. That's because there
also,
was no hacker.
all these MSNBC type chicks, they all have a homophobic whatever against them. It turns out, like Caitlin Collins, same thing. I don't even think her tweets were bad, but I know Joy Reid's were very hostile to gays. The Caitlin Collins ones were like whatever, but they always are like that. These are mean, like shitty people who like to talk like that. I'll bet she has all kinds of other awful stuff that she said, and everyone she works with.
They were hackers.
Yeah.
They're all hackers.
They're hacked,
But here's what I know. I genuinely do not believe I wrote those hateful things because they are completely alien to me.
She genuinely believes she didn't write those hateful things that were on her blog and that she claims was hacked, even though she can't prove it.
I saw a hypnotist for it.
Yeah. This reminds me of a statement from the Iran-Contra era.
With the part that is the most controversial. A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not. So
Joy Reid having a similar moment.
They're both senile? Wait a minute. She has Alzheimer's?
Let's turn to how Brian Stelter, reliable cheerleader for pundits like Joy Reid, because he's also a Democratic Party loyalist, how he handled the news of Joy Reid's alleged hacker back when this was happening.
MSNBC host Joy Reid apologized again on Friday for old blog posts that have been found and republished. These are blog posts that are full of embarrassing comments and language. Some of them are homophobic. Others have been insulting public figures like John McCain. One of the most disturbing to me was when she suggested people check out a 9/11 truther documentary. Now, she published these blog posts more than a decade ago, but the issue...
That's weird. But Brian Stelter's more offended by a 9/11 truther documentary than he is by homophobia.
I find that hard to believe because I'm a Brian Stelter truther. What? Yeah, that is a weird thing to hack Joy Reid and say, check out Loose Change. What was the thing she was recommending?
Check out Loose Change. She was recommending Loose Change.
You check it out. I didn't want to check it out back then. She's smarter than me if she checked it out.
The reason why it's relevant now is because of this claim that maybe she didn't publish them at all. It's a credibility issue involving her claim in April that she was hacked, that there was a breach of her blog, and that some hacker had published some of these posts in order to make her look bad. Now, she's not claiming she was hacked anymore, and she is apologizing again for the posts. MSNBC is standing by her. In this statement, the network is saying that some of her posts were obviously hateful and hurtful and not reflective of the colleague and friend we have known for the past 7 years. Now, again, what's missing from MSNBC's statement is any reference to the earlier suggestion she was hacked and that the claim was being investigated by the FBI. I guess...
Oh, I forgot about that. She also said that she had called the FBI to investigate her fictional
FBI.
hacker.
Some homophobic 9/11 truther broken into my Twitter.
All right, so there was that. I mean, it just whatever it happened.
Reporting from Stelter, Brian Stelter really going in. He was like Candace Owens with a Macron lead, the way he doggedly pursued that.
This truly was unprecedented. Everyone knew she was lying about the hacker, but they all just were like, okay, we'll let it slide.
I would never question a black woman or any woman of any color. You know that's how that works. It's called the progressive stack, and it's been instituted ever since Occupy Wall Street, and with good reason, because it's horseshit that distracts from more important things.
Let's turn to more hits from Joy Reid. This is how she covered the nomination of Joe Biden back in the 2020 campaign.
He is the thing that Donald Trump pretended to be in 2016, the regular Joe. He's literally called Joey throughout all of these videos by his family members. He's Joey. He's a guy you know. He is a white working class voter.
Let's hear that one more time.
Is he?
Let's hear that one more time.
He is the thing that Donald Trump pretended to be in 2016, the regular Joe. He's literally called Joey.
He's literally called Joey. Bam.
Yeah.
Elected man president.
He's just average Joe with 18 shell companies in his name.
He's literally called Joey, who has to pardon all his family members when he leaves office for their corrupt.
It looks like a family reunion they had of pardons. I never heard of it. Most of the Bidens on it. What do they do? What do they even do?
He's literally Joey. Kurt, he's literally Joey. Literally Joey.
That's a great show. Literally Joey with Joe Biden. Hey, it's me. Hey.
It's
me, Joe Obama.
Here's Joy Reid, literally Joy Reid, with AOC talking about the nomination by Donald Trump of Tulsi Gabbard, who was recently confirmed as Director of National Intelligence.
And we haven't even gotten to Tulsi Gabbard potentially having access to national security information. And Russia loves it, loves her.
And I actually think almost more than Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard's appointment is devastating. And Tulsi Gabbard's nomination, as much as she says that she's an anti-war person, she's not.
Yeah.
She supports very pro-war individuals.
Including
abroad.
in Syria.
And let's be very clear, a Tulsi Gabbard nomination is a pro-war nomination globally. Point blank, period.
As is Donald Trump as president of the United States.
Point blank, period should be the name of their show. Point blank, period with AOC.
AOC calling someone else pro-war after AOC has voted every single time to fund the Ukraine proxy war, to enrich the military-industrial complex and fuel, Europe's worst ground war since the Second World War.
Refill the Iron Dome, which is a tear in her eye.
Yeah. All right, let's do one more. Here is Joy Reid speaking about inflation.
Ever heard here use the word inflation are journalists and economists, right? So that is not part of the normal lexicon of the way people talk. So it's interesting that Republicans are doing something they don't normally do, right? Which is not use the common tongue, right? Not use just common English to sort of do on their campaigns like they're doing with crime. But what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation, right? Yeah. Most people who would have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught it, including on TV, including in newspapers. They've been taught this word, and they sort of wrap this word around whatever it is that they really want to vote, the reasons they really want to vote.
All right. So people don't use inflation.
Yes, I was taught the word inflation. I was actually taught many words in school as a boy, and everyone brought it up all the time as long as I've been growing up, because it's been going up.
All right. We actually have one more bonus one. I can't believe.
Oh, I can't wait. As great as she is, this new one coming in is going to be a real doozy.
I almost forgot this one, but thankfully. What's up? This is Joy Reid on election night 2024, as the returns were coming in, not looking good for Kamala Harris and pointing to a Donald Trump victory. This was Joy Reid's analysis of the Kamala Harris campaign.
And I think it's important to say that, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color. Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the
Breaking news. A Democrat had liberal celebrities endorsing.
Flawless.
Wow.
I was going to say, did she have enough liberal celebrities endorsing her? Oh, she did. No, then there's no flaws. It was a perfect campaign, except for the candidate.
To the Swifties.
Just one thing was not that good, which was the candidate.
You could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And I think that's still true. And I think it's important to say
she had the Swifties. She had the Swifties. She had Queen Latifah. Flawless campaign.
It was $1 billion campaign. It was a Tim and Eric $1 billion campaign, I like to call it.
Yes, it was.
They had Zach Galifianakis as a personal shopper. Yeah, what $1 billion it cost to lose in that short of a time. It's just right. It was a short time. How do you spend $1 billion like that? Because she's what they call in crypto a shitcoin. That was a pump and dump. Everyone cashed in, right? That worked for her because they knew it was a disaster. They got as much money as they could, so they'd be nice and because they should never work again. Frankly, any of these people.
And according to Joy Reid, that was a flawless campaign. And
second only to Zelensky's flawless war in Ukraine.
Hey, if you're watching this show, chances are you already know the mainstream media is full of crap. They're not here to inform you. They're here to spin stories, cater to corporate overlords, and protect the establishment at all costs. So just take a look at how they covered or didn't cover leaked photos linking Joe Biden to Hunter Biden's Chinese business partners. I ran this story through Ground News, who found nearly 100 sources reporting on it, and coverage is totally lopsided. Independent right-wing outlets are all over this, calling it what it is, proof Biden's been lying. Meanwhile, everyone else is just regurgitating CNN talking points, downplaying it like it's no big deal. Ground News even lets me see how many other publications have reposted the story from CNN. Let me ask you this. If the media is bending over backwards to protect Biden's image, even on his way out, how can we trust them to cover anything fairly? Well, the answer is you can't. The only way for us to cut through this media bias is to objectively compare how the same story is being reported across other media outlets. That's why I can't recommend my partners at Ground News enough. They're the only platform not telling you what to think. They show you every angle of every news story, whether it's from corporate media, independent outlets, or voices the establishment doesn't want you to hear. They expose who's funding each perspective and if they've got a political bias. They've even have a blind spot feed to expose what the other side of the political spectrum isn't reporting on, freeing readers of any hidden agendas and political spins. And if you want to cut through the BS of mainstream media, you can save 40% today off their top-tier Advantage plan by going to ground.news/JD or scanning my QR code. If you like the show, I think you'll love that platform. Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.